Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being truly well-informed, with surprising facts and just enough humor to keep you hooked. Today, we're plunging into a world where personal lives get dramatically shaped by, well, huge global events. We're taking a really fascinating journey through excerpts from Danielle Steele's novel Crossings. This deep dive, it's going to illuminate some profound insights into human resilience, loyalty, and love, all set against the tumultuous backdrop of World War II.
Right. And our mission today is basically to unpack the intertwining fates of two families, the de Villiers and the Burnhams. We'll see how they navigate these shifting tides,
Yep.
from pre-war complacency through the chaos of war and the really difficult choices forced upon them. We'll examine the surprising ways their paths cross and the intense emotional connections they forge under, well, unimaginable duress.
Okay, let's dive into that opening scene then, because it really sets an interesting tone, doesn't it? Our story starts in Washington, D.C., June 1939. Picture this grand, quite substantial home of the French ambassador, Armand de Villiers. He's already feeling this deep unease, about Hitler's slow march across Europe. But it's such a stark contrast to Paris, where he sees this frenzied animation, almost a frivolous gaiety. It's like they think if they keep dancing, war won't come. What do you think Steele was highlighting there about that collective psychology?
That's a great question. It really emphasizes the power of denial, I think, that human tendency to cling to normalcy, even when things are clearly falling apart. Armand, with his diplomatic insight, he sees it coming. But so many others are caught in this comforting but, dangerous illusion. And it's right here we meet his wife, Liane de Villiers. She's equally fascinating.
Ah, Liane, tell us more about her. The novel paints her as quite remarkable.
Oh, she is. An admirable mind. Armand apparently respected her right from when she was just 15. Her upbringing was pretty unique. Lived alone with her father, Harrison Crockett, a big shipping magnate, and this gave her knowledge and wisdom unusual in such a young girl.
Ah.
Her father, after being a recluse, eventually opened his doors, and that's how Liane met Armand. It pulled her into a much wider world.
Right. And their relationship is interesting, too, that age difference. Married in 1929, she wasn't even 21, he was 45. But 10 years on, despite that gap and his demanding job, their bond is still described as, well, strong, devoted, understanding. Seems like a real partnership.
Absolutely. And symbolizing this sort of last moment of luxury before the storm, they're about to travel in the Normandy. Just an incredible ship, known as the Ship of Light.
Yep.
Think Grand Lux suites, 4 bedrooms, dining room, a tropical winter garden with exotic birds, even a men's fumoir, a smoking lounge with gold bas-relief. Really the absolute peak of opulent travel.
Yeah.
This feels almost poignant knowing what's coming.
Yeah, poignant's the word. But the Normandy wasn't just carrying them. On that same crossing, we meet the Americans, Nick and Hilary Burnham, and their lives are about to get tangled up with the de Villiers. Right away, you see this marriage is fractured deeply. Hillary's portrayed as openly promiscuous, quite disdainful. Nick's clearly unhappy, but he's so devoted to their son, Johnny, because of his own parents' divorce. He swore he wouldn't do that.
And a really key moment is that first encounter, Liane and Nick at the captain's table. Liane, she's so perceptive. She immediately clocks Hillary's behavior, the dress, the flirting, that sharp edge. But more than that, she senses Nick's quiet unhappiness, his politeness, but the sadness underneath. Her immediate read on him, it suggests this real depth of character perception. She sees past the surface. It's not just attraction, it's like a recognition of struggle.
And just as they're on this luxurious crossing, the world just shifts dramatically. War is declared. Armand goes back to Paris, and he's just dismayed by the complacency he finds. His colleagues, they're convinced peace would last, that Hitler would never cross the Maginot Line, that big defense line, such a sharp contrast to Armand's own conviction. He sees war as inevitable, sees Hitler as this, well, terrifying force.
And it really makes you think, doesn't it? How personal priorities clash with these huge global crises. Hillary's a prime example. Total self-centeredness, wars looming, Nick's calling her back urgently from Cannes. But she's prioritizing her affairs. She just can't believe anything bad will actually happen to her.
Is it just pure selfishness, though? Or did the book hint at maybe, I don't know, fear or just a total inability to grasp the scale of it?
The novel really frames it as deep self-absorption, a kind of willful blindness almost. It serves her comfort, She seems constitutionally unable to put anything before her own desires, even her family's safety. Such a stark contrast to the choices others are facing.
Yeah. Difficult choices becoming unavoidable now. For Nick, it's agonizing. Sending Johnny back to the States on the Aquitania with Hillary. While he stays in Paris, that's brave. And Liane, she makes her own brave choice, almost stubborn, really. Stays with Armand in Paris, against his wishes, says her place is with him, refuses to leave.
And this is where things pivot again.
Yeah.
The fall of Paris, June 1940. It wasn't taken. It was given. Capitulated without a fight.
Yeah.
And Armand, he takes on this incredibly dangerous new role, secretly working for the resistance, against the Germans, against Pétain's Vichy government, that's the collaborationist regime, while on the surface, he has to appear to be collaborating.
Wow, that sounds just agonizing. How did the book convey that, the internal turmoil, maintaining that facade while being a secret hero? What a sacrifice.
Well, the text really highlights the isolation, the sheer loneliness of it. He's risking his life every single day, enduring being seen as a traitor, taping documents to his chest, things like that. The sacrifice isn't just physical danger, it's the weight of that public disgrace. For his country, it's a deep, lonely commitment. He can't even tell Liane,
The danger just ramps up. Armand has to get Liane and their daughters out. He arranges this escape on a freighter, the Deauville, from Toulon, seen on the dock. He sounds incredibly emotional. Goodbyes. Liane begging him to come, but he stays. Says he has a job to do. Tells her to be brave.
In that journey, a world away from the Normandy, the Deauville's a former cargo ship, crammed with 60 anxious passengers, Americans, French, Jews, Brits, Canadians, all desperate to escape. Luxury is gone. It's just raw survival now.
And then, bam! Totally unexpected reunion. Nick Burnham is on board. He admits he wasn't that smart, got caught staying too long in Paris. And isn't it incredible that his suite on the Normandy was called Deauville? It's like fate just pushed them back together on this ship with that name.
It absolutely feels like destiny, doesn't it? A little hint, their paths were meant to cross again, though under much, much worse circumstances. And then the real horror begins. The Deauville finds the Queen Victoria, a British ship, torpedoed. The scene is just grim, burned bodies in the water, hundreds of men, an urgent call for help.
And this is where Liane just transforms. It's amazing. Incredible courage. Working like Florence Nightingale, the book says, tending to these hideously burned men, side by side with Nick. There are these visceral moments. Nick asking, have you ever smelled burning flesh? Liane telling her, brace yourself. It's going to be rough. The scale of it. 204 survivors brought onto their already crowded ship. It's a huge shift for her.
It really is. She completely sheds that privileged past, steps up with this profound compassion, this strength, and amidst all this chaos, this horror, an intense bond forms between her and Nick, emotional, physical. They find solace in each other, their bodies meshing, the text says, other lives forgotten.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of love can be born from that? Shared trauma, extreme survival. Is it real love, or is it something else? A bond forged by that specific, intense pressure?
That's a crucial question. And the novel suggests it's, well, complex, maybe a bit of both. It's definitely a connection born of shared vulnerability, a lifeline when everything else is gone, very real in the moment. But, like you said, their arrival in New York, it's bittersweet. They realize the connection on the ship was borrowed, a temporary escape. Now, reality hits. They have to face their separate lives again, forced back.
So Liane and the girls get back to the U.S., but she faces this social freeze-out in D.C. because everyone thinks Armand is collaborating with Vichy. They're suspicious of her. It forces her to leave, right? She goes to her Uncle George in San Francisco, starts working at the Red Cross there, constantly battling guilt, defending Armand's name. That must have been an immense burden.
Oh, absolutely. The weight of what people thought, plus her fierce loyalty to Armand, a huge internal struggle. And Nick, his personal turmoil just keeps going. That grueling custody battle for Johnny, Hillary's manipulative behavior, kidnapping their son, taking him to South Carolina. And despite everything Nick tries, the court rules for Hillary. It really shows the painful side of family law back then, especially for fathers.
Then Pearl Harbor happens. Devastating news. Draws the U.S. into the war. And this changes everything for Nick again. He decides to re-enlist, Marines, partly duty, I suppose, but also maybe needing to escape his personal mess.
Seems likely. And then the plot thickens, as they say. Liane and Nick, they meet again. Unexpectedly, San Francisco, a Christmas party. And that connection, it rekindles, leads to a secret affair. Stolen moments, trips to places like Carmel, trying to recapture that closeness from the Deauville.
And he gives her that bracelet, doesn't he? The Deauville bracelet, calls it a retroactive gift. That's such a powerful symbol, linking that shared trauma, that intense time, directly to their present intimacy.
It really is. It acknowledges that the ship, that experience, was fundamental to what they became for each other. But Liane is just tormented, this internal conflict. Loyalty to Armand, especially when his letters reveal his dangerous resistance work, a leg injury. It deepens her guilt, but also her admiration. He writes things like, it's worth the pain for us, for France. She's completely torn. The man she loves versus the man she's, well, dedicated her life to.
And Nick, meanwhile, he's deployed. Pacific.
Right.
USS Enterprise, fighting in major battles, Guadalcanal. And his whole time there, he's just constantly, achingly worried about Johnny. That bond is so deep, even across the world, in the middle of a war.
Yeah. Then the story takes another tragic turn. The news comes. Armand is dead, killed in Paris. And it's revealed in then he was a true resistance hero. His secret work as a double agent finally comes out. Liane and the girls find out the truth. A profound loss, of course, but also a vindication. His honor restored. And this leads Liane to this desperate act, going down to the docks, meeting the hospital ship Solace, searching for Nick among thousands of wounded men coming back from the Pacific. Such a powerful echo of her on the Deauville, isn't it? That same drive to find, to save someone she cares about. And she finds him alive, but wounded.
Wow. We've really traced these extraordinary journeys, their resilience. It's incredible. And the profound ways their lives just intersect with history, sometimes tragically. We've seen loyalty pushed to its limits, love forged in absolute crisis, and just the endurance of the human spirit against overwhelming odds.
Absolutely. And if you connect it to the bigger picture, it's so clear, isn't it? Even in the biggest global conflicts, the personal stakes are just intensely high. Their story shows us that sometimes the hardest battles aren't on the battlefields at all. They're fought inside us. Loyalty, love, the choices we make for duty, for survival, it really shows how adversity forges character.
So what does this all mean for you, listening? Maybe consider Liane's unwavering belief in Armand, despite what everyone else thought. How do you discern true character when faced with conflicting information? And think about your own defining relationships. How might they be shaped not just by the good times, but by shared challenges, even collective trauma? Something for you to mull over until our next deep dive.